There is a concept in public relations called third-party endorsement. It is a concept that you will need from time to time, especially when there is a crisis. But you have to be very careful how to use that concept of third-party endorsement. Hello and welcome to this episode of the PR Coach. Thank you very much for joining us again. Now, 2 weeks ago I had an episode about the British royal family and the stories that were going around about the interview that Meghan Markle and her husband had with Oprah Winfrey. And then, of course, in that interview, there was revelation of what seemed to have been racism inside the royal family, the monarchy. Of course, nobody wants to be called racist. It gets to be damning. And the monarchy wanted to manage that. One of the statements they issued was that they're not racist. They will look into it. In fact, by this week, they even announced that they may appoint someone to help them with diversity issues. Fair enough, I think. If you believe that you're doing something wrong, try and solve it. But then something else happened. At the beginning of the week, a gentleman called Seyi Obakin, he is the CEO of an NGO called Centrepoint, which works with underprivileged children in the UK, issued a statement that said, Prince William is my friend and he's not racist. That's third-party endorsement. This statement did not come out of the blue. I can tell you that this fellow, again I have to keep on looking at his name, Seyi, was asked to issue a statement like this. The royal family needed a black person to discount the allegations that they're racist. And that's what third-party endorsement is when you want other people to attest to your bona fides. But this bombed out. This was a horrible thing for them to do for many reasons, and I'm going to count a few of them today. One is that you do not want to be accused of racism and then point out at some of your black friends, because this is exactly what happened. Some of my friends are black. Some of my best friends are black. That's what Prince William was doing. Saying, my friend, you gotta tell them that we are good friends and I could never be racist. I mean, you and I slept on the streets together. How racist could I be? Really? Me? I slept with you, a black man, say, on the streets. And that's what Seyi says. He says he spent time with William on the streets fundraising. So that because the prince had to observe the kind of work they do, he needed to understand it because he's the patron, replacing his late mother, Diana. That was lame. But which is the second reason, what was for me even more telling was that obviously, all of us would then have to Google who Seyi Obakin is, because we don't know this fellow. So I go Google, Seyi Obakin. I'd like to know who this guy is. Guess what is the first thing that comes up on Google? The East London Advertiser wrote a story that smack in the middle of salary negotiations at Centrepoint, Seyi Obakin went on a tour of America with Prince William. Smack in the middle of negotiations. This is the CEO of the organization. There's negotiations. People have been told to cut their salaries by 10%. The CEO goes on a tour with his friend. Now that speaks to the credibility of Seyi Obakin. I now sit there and think, this fellow's got absolutely no credibility. How do you do that? But worse still, you go overseas and you go with your friend on a tour overseas. That's the second part. Seyi Obakin, for me, lost credibility as soon as I looked him up. This came up. I did not have to search hard. It was in the very first page of searching who this guy is. Thirdly, Prince William is a patron of Centrepoints. Already it makes Centrepoint not an objective third-party endorser. If it was another organization that had encountered him, somebody else that had worked with them, whatever, but it can't be an organization of which he is patron. They need him. They therefore could not come out and say, oh, well, actually we know he's bloody racist, or this family is racist. They could never say that. But that takes away credibility. So if you're going to get a third party endorser, their credibility is very important to speak to your credibility. You need their credibility to carry yours, not the other way around. If they are less credible, worse still, if they are dependent on you for survival, it does not carry much. It is poor public relations. It is actually laughable. One of the columnists somewhere in the UK, went on a huge scathing attack on Seyi Obakin for coming out. He came short of calling him a house nigger. The word that is used for black people who sing for their lunch with white people. You don't want that to happen on your PR spin. It is the worst thing that could ever happen, because now you have your endorser whose credibility has been cut to pieces. It now messes up what you were trying to do. Now we're going to look at the next one and the next and the next one even more critically. Third-party endorsers are very, very important. But you have to be careful that their credibility is beyond reproach. They are independent from you, even if they know you and they like you and you're good together, but they are independent of you. But also, that the way they come out, it is not to come out there and just to deny that which you are accused of. What they need to do is to prove that what you are being accused of could be questionable. They should poke holes at it, not deny it. There is a difference. There is a difference. In fact, Seyi Obakin could have come out and said, the news that the royal family is racist came out as a shock to me. I have never ever experienced it, and I would hope that it's not true. My experience has shown that it's a family I can deal with, but to the extent that people are accusing them of being racist, I think they need to be dealing with that matter, and I would advise them to quickly address it. Do not come out and tell us that they are not racist because William, played house with you in the streets of London to raise money. That does not necessarily make him not racist. And hey, I'm not arguing that he's racist. I don't know them. Except to the extent that I know that the British Empire plundered Africa, and I suspect that that is racist. But that's another matter altogether. I don't play politics here. I speak as a PR person. So when you want people to endorse you, third-party people to endorse you, be very careful that they do not expose themselves even more. Check them out. I would have done this. I would have been, if I were William, I would have gone Google and say, what is out there about Seyi? And if this came out, I would think, maybe he's not the best person to come and endorse me. So it was a mistake. Now I sit here, I now know of a guy called Seyi Obakin. And I'm like, no, mate. I would not have wanted to think about him that way because I don't know him. Now I know him badly. You will, in your organization, in your company, in your church, in your school, you will be accused of many things. You'll be in crisis for one thing or another. Do use this tool. It's a very great tool. Third-party endorsement is a very important public relations tool. but be very careful how to use it. Be careful who you pick to use it. In fact, preferably, you want them to volunteer even before you approach them to speak to your bona fides. I doubt Seyi volunteered this. But even if he did, I wish he hadn't. So think about it harder. Look out for it. Next time you see it, you'll identify it. It happens all the time. We see a lot of people that, doing it for other people. It happens every single day of our lives. And when it goes well, it goes exceptionally well. When it goes wrong, damn it, it can be damaging. So my advice is that use it a lot. When you're in crisis, you don't want to be the one always refuting that which you're accused of. It is better, like I said last week when I spoke about reputation, it is always better when others can attest to your bona fides. It speaks much more about your reputation than when you speak about it yourself. What do others say, or who do others say I am? It's more powerful than what do I say I am. But if others are Seyi Obakin, you are in trouble. Thank you very much for watching. Please do share with as many people as you can. Please do subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You know where to subscribe. You click that button right here. It says subscribe. If you have any questions or queries, or indeed if you want to work with a PR coach, please write to me, rams@prcoach.co.za. Did I just get my email address wrong? rams@kingmaker.co.za. I need a third-party endorser. rams@kingmaker.co.za. Thank you so much. We shall see you again soon. Cheers.